Well, staying with football-related matters this week, bar tomorrow's League Tshwane derby between SuperSport United and Mamelodi Sundowns. Domestic football is going to be dominated by the Nedbank Cup. The round of 16 starts on Wednesday when the University of Pretoria hosts Moroka Swallows. To speak more about this, Stanton Fredericks, Kaizer Chiefs legend and a man who's played at a number of South African clubs as well as abroad and with Bafana Bafana, joins us. A very good afternoon. Welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Good to be chatting to you. Did I see a couple of tears in the studio on Saturday?
Yes, you definitely did, Bennett. Thanks for having me. It was a hectic one, but you know what? Football was the winner. 5 goals in the Soweto derby. We can't ask for more. Besides, next time a Kaizer Chiefs victory, but that's a hush-hush one from me.
Well, speaking about Kaizer Chiefs, it is quite a shock that they're not in this round of the Nedbank Cup.
Yeah, and that's a Nedbank Cup for you, opportunity for amateur footballers to pit themselves against the professional and the big team, if you may. And it's always a David versus Goliath, and some brilliant fairy tale stories. And you mentioned Bafana Bafana earlier. If you just look at that Bafana Bafana squad, Aubrey Modiba has come from a Nedbank Initiative Cup through the playing the cup, as well as an initiative that went around where they would scout for these players. He now finds himself playing as a regular for Bafana Bafana. So that's what it's all about. It's just an opportunity that can turn into making a young boy's dreams come true.
You mentioned the David versus Goliath clashes. Obviously, everybody excited to see what Milford FC, the team that knocked Kaizer Chiefs so spectacularly out of the competition in the last round, will do. They're up against Stellenbosch FC, and maybe this is where their run actually comes to an end on Friday.
And that's what we think, because remember, TS Galaxy beat the same Kaizer Chiefs in the final. So this is what it dishes up. It dishes up so much encounters where surprises happen, but sometimes you get a bit of a hiding, which Crystal Lake experienced against the Orlando Pirates. I'm actually commentating that game on Friday where they come up against Stellenbosch, so just can't wait to see. The added benefit for Milford is they will be playing at home, so the support will be for them. If there's a large crowd, there's a financial benefit for the team as well. So just so many pluses for the smaller teams.
Do you expect many upsets, though? I suppose from a footballing perspective, from somebody who analyzes games, who commentates on games, you would love to see the smaller teams really rise. Everybody loves an underdog story, but one kind of looks at what we saw in the first round and thinks that going by what the smaller teams are able to bring, that perhaps we won't see too many upsets. On Saturday, Orlando Pirates will host, they're the defending champions, they'll host Hungry Lions, and then Mamelodi Sundowns are up against Maritzburg United at Loftus Versfeld.
Yes, you know what, to be honest, football has kind of, the gap between the lower leagues and the professional leagues have kind of closed. Because you're exposed to world football now and you can see it on every channel, coaches and players alike are understanding the tactical abilities that they can possibly do. If you look at the last season, Dondol Stars, which was in the 3rd tier of the South African professional ranks, took Orlando Pirates all the way to the penalty shootout, So having said that, Hungry Lions, Milford FC, we might not, in the football fraternity, it might not be the big names, but I tell you what, they can spring a surprise. So I'm not going to say there'll be no surprises, but do not be surprised if you find a smaller team in the next round.
You mentioned that the gap is closing. Why then have we got Mamelodi Sundowns that are just on a record run, and that actually, to be quite honest and frank about the situation, they're unstoppable domestically, and that's why their sights are well and truly set on the African continent and succeeding there?
Yeah, tell you, Vainant, it's just, firstly, financially, they have the power. Secondly, they've got a brilliant technical team. Thirdly, it never happened overnight. This was a planned situation. It stems all the way from Pitso Mosemane. Remember, Rolando Mokoena, that is now at the helm, was in the technical team. So that continuity stayed there. I think they really invest in terms of scouting. They don't just scout blind. They understand the type of player that is needed. They have the financial muscle to dip into players, international players, and we've seen a lot of South American players come in. The good thing about this Mamelodi Sundowns side is that when they scouted a player, we look at the likes of Grant Kekana that's now playing for Bafana Bafana. We look at Tebogo Mokoena. Players improve when they go to Mamelodi Sundowns. So that is something that's special about that. And yes, that gap is growing, and we can't wait for other teams to challenge them. I think this season already, it's a foregone conclusion. I know it's very early to say that. They've only played 17 games. Still another 13 to go for Sundowns. But I think it's fair to say that they will wrap up this edition of the DStv Prem early once again.
As a footballing man and a man whose life is built on the game, while you were still younger and playing yourself professionally, and now even beyond that, to see the kind of shenanigans that continue to plague our national federation, how do you feel? On Friday we had the Hawks raid SAFA. We had SAFA responding saying that it was malicious, and then we have footballing still continuing. How do you feel as a footballing man around what's going on with the administration? It's not a good thing, Vayrant. I do think where there's smoke, there's fire. You're only guilty until proven so. So we got to let the process unfold. And if the wrong things were done, we pray and we hope that it will be unearthed. And at the end of the day, football needs to be the winner. We need to get a sound administration. We need an administration in terms of SAFA to speak to the administration of the local football PSL. It needs to come together. We need to work towards seeing better players. And I think we have the perfect opportunity right now because Bafana Bafana had a solid African Nations Cup. We need to get our house in order. I was fortunate enough to have come through the junior ranks. That is a stage where you prepare your players for the national team. So the under 17s, under 20s, and under 23s for the ladies and the men needs to be focused on. And we need to just move forward. I tend not to speak politically, but if you're doing the wrong thing, it needs to be shown, and we need to shake it up a bit, and change is definitely needed. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. We certainly need to do things differently. Stanton Fredericks is a football analyst, a commentator at SuperSport, but also a former Bafana midfielder. Thank you so much for your time here on Newzroom Afrika. Good to chat to you. And Stephen, that's how we come to the end of your sport. I'll have more sport for you on the Pulse.